Here's a good question. How is Jesus God if he's a human? I want to start answering this question by asking a question. Can God do this? Can God come down to the world, be born of a virgin, and live a human life? Of course. But now let's look at the question, why would he do it? 1. God's faithfulness, and 2. God's love. 3 points to God's faithfulness. 1. In Genesis, God promised mankind that one would come from woman who would crush the head of the serpent, and at the same time his heel would be bruised. Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. 2. God promised David a kingdom that would never end. 2 Samuel 7:12-13. When your days are fulfilled and you rest with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you, who will come from your body, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. 3. God promised that the Messiah would be born of a virgin, and his name will be Mighty God. Isaiah 7:14. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. And Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and his name will be Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. So Jesus points to God's faithfulness. Jesus crushed the head of the serpent when he defeated sin and death. Jesus set up an eternal heavenly kingdom that will never fade away. And Jesus is the virgin-born mighty God that came to be the true light of the world. God's love. 1. God showed his love by sending his son to pay our painful penalty. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. 2. Jesus showed his love by showing how to serve. John 13:3-5 and 13-15. Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God, rose from supper and laid aside his garments, took a towel and girded himself. After that he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with a towel and with which he was girded. You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If then your Lord and teacher have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. And 3. The greatest love is sacrificial love, laying down your life for someone. John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. Jesus took our punishment and showed us his great love. Romans 5:6-8. You see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Very rarely will someone die for a righteous person, though for a good person, someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So although it may be hard to understand, how can a man be God Almighty? God explains it in his word. God is faithful and loving, and we see these attributes fulfilled in his Son, his Word made flesh, who dwelt among us. I hope this has helped answer the question, how can Jesus be God although he is a human? Also, if you have the question, if Jesus is God, how can he die on the cross? Check out this video. Subscribe, stay tuned, and God bless.